What I'm speaking about is more of the Tao Te Ching. There's no way to talk about a B flat without talking about the entire way of a B flat, going back to how you were conceived. But if you want me to tell you how to be a better player, then spend time with your instrument and study the instrument and its design, like a doctor would study the human body. Do you know how to take your instrument apart and put it together? Do you understand how it tunes? If you don't know this, then you're not actually playing the instrument. That goes for everybody. If you don't know how to tune your piano, if you can't take out a string, then you don't actually play the piano. You're in a different part of the relationship. You play the instrument once you know it. It doesn't make anybody more or less special, but it makes somebody more developed. Trust me, somebody that understands how to look at this saxophone and see it naked is more advanced than somebody does not. Now, whether that comes out in how they physically play or not, that's a whole other situation, and that's a subjective, taste-based situation. That's not a factual situation, but it is factual if somebody can take it apart and put it back together well and understands that composition. It's like any relationship. If you know somebody only with their clothes on versus once you've met them with their clothes off, even when you see them with their clothes on, it's never the same. You can always really. So it's the same with the music. So there is no telling someone how to get better. Spend time with the instrument. That's how you get better. I mean, you get better because Tony Williams was 14 when he played with Jackie Mack. He was 16 when he was playing with Miles. He was only 20 when he was on, Clifford Brown passed away when he was 24. Booker Little only made it to 26. Scott LaFaro passed away at 27. So how did they get there? I mean, there's certain parts where, there are things that are obvious. So unless there's a specific question about how to develop and what instrument are we talking about, then there's really no way of being able to provide a individual plan. I mean, this type of thing we would have to settle in like private one-on-one lessons, because in a group dynamic, there's no a tailored way to be able to explain in how to gain a deeper relationship, because I don't know your history of the relationship with your instrument. So it's kind of a difficult question to answer, but I think even without being able to know all of that, just know that you are the one that is the surveyor and taking part in that relationship. So it's the same mechanics that would have been taught from the same beginning, no matter where you come from geographically or what teacher you would have had. They just tell you, practice makes perfect. I'm just going back to things that I don't believe in practice, right? It's spending time. However, I say practice makes perfect. Spend time with your instrument. Yeah, you got to practice a lot to make sure that you sound good. Focus on your sound, long tones. Like, make sure you support from your diaphragm. Make sure you got an open throat. Make sure you can open up those notes. Make sure you have, full control. And then, full from diaphragm, open throat. That's how you get the altissimo. But you can't get altissimo until you hear the note. So if you don't actually hear the note, then it won't matter if your throat's open and if your stomach is supported, because you don't actually hear the note. So it's not going to come. And even if it comes, you don't have a good sound, that's the sound's not going to get better until you hear a better sound. You have to hear the sound to produce the sound. It's not the sound's going to get better. No, the sound will stay the way it is if that's how you hear it. So these are things where it's like that relationship that is you and the music and your sonics inside of that, whether practicing or spending time with your instrument or not, those things have to come into play. If they do not come into play, your ears, can you hear what voicing, what inversion that the keyboard player just played that C major in? Was it in first inversion? Was it in root? Was it in second inversion? Like, were they playing 1, 5, 3 on top, which is now 10 in terms of the spread of the harmony? Or were they playing like 1, 3, 5 down here in a cluster? And like, what did that mean in terms of the way they were ending out the phrase, like harmonically? What was that? These elements like that, I think these are all things that help the personal relationship and any type of blocks that we have. How do I understand F sharp? Like, how do I understand F? Like, what does it mean? What angle does that sit for me? Like, when I look at the keyboard, like E flat pentatonics, like just doing this thing like this, right? But then when I'm looking at the block of C, it's got this other thing where it doesn't have the same steps. Like, Like the steps look like bigger bamboo steps versus like the kind of the C block. But when I was playing flute the other day, it's like the same. It's like you have this linear. It's the same with this one. This is the same like pad like this, and then you have these like like kind of angular pentatonic extensions that exist in a different shape on top of this parallel movement. And I think I just say this to say these are ways that I imagine even when I'm playing how I can see uh the geometric shape of the way that the keys lay for certain harmonies. Like, E flat's moving like this versus is moving kind of similar, but it dances and weaves a little bit more so than say like D minor, but they have a similar routing, but they can. And then so how do they exist together? Even if on paper it says D minor, but they exist in the same routing, and I kind of feel this way in between sometimes. So how can I get this thing? I'm like a scientist about it. So if you're like a scientist about it and you're really neurotic, you're gonna find it. I mean, like I said, I started playing when I was 14, and by the time I was even 6 months in, I'd already gotten a sixth chair and all sit, and that's going from like not even knowing how to put a mouthpiece in your mouth to that. So within 1 year, I transferred to a performing arts school, and I was 15, 14, 15, 16, and I didn't have to have anybody telling me anything. So I think with this is that you have to understand that you are going to be the one that discovers all of this for yourself. You understand? You have to be the one to discover that. And if you can do that, then you're going to be nice and sustainable for yourself and be able to absorb more nutrients around you because you'll be able to absorb it in your way. So I think that's actually the work is therein, even in the question, how do I become stronger, or how do I get beyond these blocks? We're kind of facing the weaknesses. Like, where is it weak? Can you play your diminished scale? Do you have control over how you're enclosing like your minor chords? Like, in what form are you doing this? Like, what is your harmony? What is this? Is it a flat six minor sound? Is it a minor pentatonic sound? Is it what is the sound? Is it a major pentatonic? Is it augmented? Like, what is your sound? What is that scope? And these are things that can't come from more information in. It's going to be coming from how you deliberate the information that's already been put in and continuously coming in.